We know that with a circle, that if we multiply pi by the diameter, we get the circumference. That's the whole way around the outside of the circle. But sometimes we're asked to find the lengths or the perimeter of shapes that involve parts of the circle. So that's what we're going to look at today. This question asks us to find the circumference of the following semicircle. It should ask us for the perimeter of a semicircle. That's the whole way around. But you'll notice that we know what the diameter of the semicircle is. And if you imagine that we want to find that curved part of it, and that curved part is half of the circumference, the whole way around the circle. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to find what is the circumference of the imaginary whole circle. So C equals pi d, and let's fill in. We know the diameter is 20, so C is equal to 20 pi. When we put that into our calculators then, our calculators come up with 62.84. But we don't want the circumference of the imaginary circle. We want the perimeter of this semicircle. And we need to be slightly careful because the perimeter is made up of a curved bit and a straight bit. And the curved bit is the curved bit of the circumference, half of the circumference of the circle. And so when we work that out, all that we have to do is take the answer we've got already, 62.84, and divide it by 2. That's half of the circumference. But we still have a bit to go. We still have this bit at the bottom that's extra, the straight bit at the bottom. But we know already that it's 20 centimetres, so we simply add it on as plus 20. So the perimeter is equal to 62.84 divided by 2 plus 20. And we get an answer overall 51.4 centimetres. And just be careful, you'll notice that we've kept the C for circumference and P for perimeter separate. In this example, we have a slightly more complicated shape. We have, again, a curved part, which is part of the circumference of a circle, but we also have all these straight parts if we want to work out the perimeter of the shape. Let's take a think about the curved bit. And if you look at that, imagine the full circle that curve is part of. Actually, the distance that we have there, 6 meters, is the radius of that circle. The radius of the imaginary circle is 6 meters. So if we were to find the circumference of that imaginary circle, it'd be pi d. Now if the radius is 6, the diameter must be 12. So it's pi times 12. And so we can get an answer for the circumference of 37.70 meters. Now that would be the circumference of the circle. We don't want circumference, we want the perimeter. So I'm keeping this separate and calling it P. And the perimeter is made up of a quarter of a full circle. That's 37.7 divided by 4, because it's a quarter of the circumference. But we also have to add on the straight bits. And the straight bits are made up of a number. On the right hand side there we have a big long line. And the top of that line is actually the radius itself, so it's 6. And the bottom we know is 2. So overall that right hand side is 8 in length. The bottom is 6. And the left hand side is 2. And so when we want to find the perimeter, we add together the curved part and all the straight parts. So 25.4 meters. And we give our answer to 3 significant figures, unless we're told otherwise. So here we have a more practical example. We're asked to find the whole way around the outside of this window, which in other words is the perimeter of the window. And it's made up of a semicircle and a rectangle. And hopefully you can see that if it were a full circle, it would have a diameter of 60 centimetres. And we know that because the distance at the bottom is 60 centimetres. So the circumference of the imaginary circle would be C pi d, pi times 60. And that might come up on your calculator as 60 pi. But if you press the S to D button, it'll change it to decimal, 188.50 centimetres. So that gives us the circumference of the full circle. But if we want the perimeter of this shape, The curved part is just half the circumference, so it's 188.5 divided by 2. After that then, we need to add on all the straight bits. So down the left-hand side is 80 centimetres, along the bottom is 60 centimetres, and up the right-hand side is 80 centimetres. And so overall, we can get our total perimeter by adding those together. And to 3 significant figures, that's 314 centimetres. So now it's over to you. Can you find the perimeter of these shapes? Be careful to show all you're working out, and also be careful to distinguish between C for circumference and P for perimeter. Pause the video, and when you're ready to find out the answers, start it again. So how did you get on? Well, I hope. The last in the series in these circles, we'll be looking at how to find the radius if we're given the circumference.